The clinking of a champagne flute, a sound I used to associate with joy, now feels like a countdown. 3 quick, sharp taps of a butter knife against glass, and the room quiets. 100 smiling faces, bathed in the soft golden glow of fairy lights and chandeliers, turn toward the head table. My brother Liam looks happier than I have ever seen him, his arm draped around his new wife, Sarah. Her head rests on his shoulder, a perfect picture of bridal bliss. And standing beside them, beaming, is Julian, my brother's best man, my brother's oldest friend, the man who is about to confess to a murder in the middle of a wedding reception, and I will be the only person in the room who understands. He raises his glass, his smile so wide and genuine it could power the whole damn venue. For those of you who don't know me, he begins, his voice a warm, confident baritone that fills the cavernous, wood-beamed hall. I'm Julian, and I've had the privilege of being Liam's best friend since we were 2 kids trying to build a rocket out of a cardboard box in his backyard. A ripple of appreciative laughter. He's a natural charmer, always has been. He can make anyone feel like they're the only person in the world. It's a skill, a weapon, and tonight he is wielding it with surgical precision. He launches into a series of anecdotes, painting a picture of a deep, unshakable brotherhood. Stories of scraped knees, terrible high school bands, and that disastrous backpacking trip through Thailand. Everyone is captivated. I am too, but not for the same reason. I'm watching his hands, the way they gesture, the way his knuckles are white, where he grips the stem of his flute. I'm listening to the rhythm of his speech, the practiced pauses, the carefully chosen words. A knot of ice is forming in my stomach, a cold, heavy dread that has nothing to do with the chilled champagne I've been nursing. But the thing about a friendship like ours, Julian continues, his eyes finding Liam's, is that it's not just about the good times. It's about being there when things are tough. It's about seeing your best friend heading down a rocky path and knowing you have to do whatever it takes to clear the way for him. The room murmurs in agreement. People nod, their eyes misty. What a good friend. What a loyal man. But he's looking at me now, just for a second, a fleeting knowing glance. My blood runs cold. A rocky path, clear the way. The phrases are innocuous to everyone else, just sentimental wedding speech fluff. But for me, they are keys. Unlocking a dark room in my memory I have kept bolted shut for 5 years. The room where my brother's first wife, Chloe, lies. She died on a rocky path. A hiking accident, they called it. A tragic, unavoidable slip on a treacherous trail. A trail that Julian, an experienced mountaineer, had personally recommended. Liam, Julian says, turning his full attention back to my brother, his voice thick with what sounds like emotion. You were lost for a while, we all know it. You were stuck, tangled in something that was holding you back, pulling you down. And my only job as your friend was to help you get free. To remove the obstacle, because we all knew that your real happiness was waiting for you, just on the other side. He gestures to Sarah, who blushes and squeezes Liam's hand. The obstacle. He called Chloe an obstacle. My hand is trembling, and I set my glass down on the white linen tablecloth before I drop it. The clink is too loud in my head. No one else seems to notice. They're all lost in the romance of it, the beautiful narrative of a friend guiding another toward his destiny. They don't see the subtext. They don't see the monstrous ego, the chilling declaration hiding in plain sight. I remember standing in Liam's house a week after Chloe's funeral. The air was thick with the scent of lilies and grief. Julian was there, of course, a pillar of strength, managing everything. He was boxing up Chloe's things, efficient and unsentimental. I'd found him in their bedroom, holding one of her sweaters. I was crying, a fresh wave of loss washing over me. He put an arm around me. "It's for the best, Ella," he'd whispered, his voice gentle. She was holding him back. Now he's free to really live. I just cleared the path for him. At the time, I thought he meant he was literally clearing the house of her things to help Liam move on. A clumsy, insensitive choice of words from a man trying to be practical in the face of overwhelming emotion. I dismissed it. I buried it. But now, hearing those exact same words again, delivered with a triumphant smile to a room full of applause, I understand. It wasn't a metaphor. It was a confession. The applause swells around me, a deafening wave of sound. Liam is hugging Julian, clapping him on the back. Sarah is wiping a tear from her eye. And Julian, over my brother's shoulder, finds my eyes again. He holds my gaze, and this time there is no mistaking it. The charming mask is gone, and what lies beneath is cold, flat, and terrifying. He gives a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. He knows that I know. And in that moment, the beautiful wedding reception, with its flowers and its music and its laughter, transforms into the most dangerous place on earth. My heart is a frantic bird, beating against the cage of my ribs. I need to get out of this room. I push my chair back, the legs scraping against the polished wooden floor. The sound is harsh, violent, but it's swallowed by the renewed chatter and the upbeat song the band has just started playing. Liam's friend, some guy from college, catches my arm as I pass. "Great speech, wasn't it?" he says, his face flushed with alcohol and excitement. "Julian's a legend." I can only manage a tight, jerky nod before I pull my arm away and hurry toward the exit. The grand double doors of the reception hall feel miles away. Every smiling face I pass seems grotesque, a mask of blissful ignorance. How can they not see it? How can they not hear what I heard? The words echo in my mind, each one a hammer blow against my sanity. Rocky path, clear the way. Remove the obstacle. It's a litany of murder. I finally burst through the doors into the cool evening air of the estate's gardens. The sudden quiet is a relief, but it's also terrifying. The manicured hedges and stone pathways seem to hold their breath, witnesses to my panic. I lean against a cold stone pillar, dragging in deep, ragged gulps of air that smell of damp earth and roses. It's not real. It can't be. I'm just grieving, projecting, turning a poorly worded speech into something monstrous because it's Liam's wedding day, and I'm thinking about Chloe. That has to be it. I'm just being paranoid. But the look in Julian's eyes, that wasn't paranoia. That was a threat. That was a confirmation. I stumble toward a stone bench tucked away in a small alcove, my legs feeling like they might give out. I pull out my phone, my fingers fumbling with the screen. My hands are shaking so badly it takes me 3 tries to unlock it. I open a web browser and type Chloe Preston death. The headlines from 5 years ago flash onto the screen. Local woman dies in tragic hiking fall. Community mourns loss of promising artist. I click on the main article from the local paper. I've read it 100 times, but now the words seem different, coded. Chloe Preston, 28, was hiking with her husband, Liam, and family friend, Julian Croft, on the treacherous Black Creek Trail, when she reportedly lost her footing and fell over 100 feet. Reportedly. A word I'd never noticed before. The article quotes the sheriff's deputy. It appears to be a tragic accident. The terrain is notoriously unstable, especially after the recent rains. Mr. Croft, an experienced climber, did everything he could to render aid, but the fall was catastrophic. Did everything he could, or did he do everything he needed to? I remember that day with sickening clarity. Liam had called me, his voice a shattered wreck. He was incoherent, screaming her name over and over. Julian was the one who took the phone, who calmly, methodically explained what had happened. Chloe had stepped too close to the edge. The ground gave way. There was nothing anyone could have done. He was so calm, so in control. At the time, I'd been grateful for his steadiness. Now it seems monstrous. I scroll through the photos on my phone, back through the years, until I find the album from that time. There are pictures of Chloe, her face bright and full of life, her arms slung around Liam. And in so many of them, there is Julian, standing just beside them, always smiling, always part of the picture. An essential piece of their life, or a cancer growing within it. I find a photo from the morning of the hike. The three of them are at the trailhead, grinning for a selfie Liam took. Chloe is in the middle, Liam on one side, Julian on the other. He has his arm around Chloe's shoulders. It looks like a friendly, brotherly gesture. But now, looking at it with new eyes, his grip seems too tight. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. His eyes are fixed on her with an intensity that isn't friendly. It's possessive or predatory. I feel a wave of nausea. I had always thought Julian had a little crush on Chloe. He was always a bit too complimentary, a bit too attentive. But she was my brother's wife, and Julian was his best friend. I dismissed it as him just being his usual charming self. What if it was more? What if it was an obsession? And when he couldn't have her, he decided no one could? No, that doesn't fit with the speech. He talked about removing an obstacle for Liam. Not for himself. He saw her as something standing in my brother's way. Why? Chloe adored Liam. She supported his art. She encouraged him to leave his soul-crushing corporate job. She was the best thing that had ever happened to him. What possible obstacle could she have been? I stand up, my mind racing. I have to go back inside. I can't let him see my fear. I have to act normal until I can figure out what to do. I smooth down my dress, take one more deep breath, and turn back toward the reception hall. As I approach the doors, I see him, Julian. He's standing just inside the entrance, talking to one of Sarah's bridesmaids. He's laughing, holding his drink, the picture of a carefree guest. But he's positioned himself so he can see the gardens, so he could see me leave. He's been watching me. As I draw closer, he excuses himself from the conversation and turns to face me. The charming smile is back in place, but it's a cheap mask, and I can see the coldness underneath. "There you are," he says, his voice a low purr. "Getting some air? It's a beautiful night." "Yes," I say, my own voice sounding thin and reedy to my ears. Just needed a moment. He takes a step closer, invading my personal space. "Good speech?" he asks, his eyes searching mine for a reaction. "It was memorable," I managed to say, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. His smile widens, but it's all teeth. "I'm glad you think so. I really wanted to capture the truth of things. It's so important, don't you think? To make sure everyone understands the real story." He raises his glass in a mock toast, his gaze pinning me in place. To the truth, Ella, and to making sure a man gets what he truly deserves. The threat is no longer veiled. It's a declaration of war, delivered in a room full of people who think he's a hero. And I'm the only one who knows he's a monster. I need proof. A gut feeling, a chilling look, a speech full of double meanings. It's not enough. Accusing my brother's best man of murder on his wedding day, based on a hunch, would destroy my family. Liam would never believe me. He would think I was deranged, jealous, trying to ruin his happiness. Julian has spent a lifetime building a fortress of trust around my brother. I can't tear it down with pebbles of suspicion. I need a battering ram. I need undeniable, irrefutable proof. I give Julian a weak, non-committal smile and slip past him, back into the warmth and noise of the reception. The band is playing a cover of some generic pop song, and a few couples are on the dance floor. I need to get away, somewhere I can think. My bag is upstairs, in the room the bridal party was using to get ready. My laptop is in it. I have years of digital history stored on that machine. Emails, photos, old chat logs. Maybe there's something there. Something I missed. Something that will look different now. I make my way through the throng, careful not to catch anyone's eye. I feel exposed, as if my terror is a visible aura. I can feel Julian's gaze on my back, a physical pressure. I don't dare look back to confirm it. I just keep moving one step at a time up the grand curving staircase to the second floor of the historic manor. The bridal suite is at the end of the hall. The door is slightly ajar, and I can hear the muffled sounds of laughter from within. I push it open gently. A few of Sarah's cousins are inside, touching up their makeup and gossiping. They look up, surprised to see me. "Ella, come join us. We were just about to do a round of tequila shots," one of them says, holding up a bottle. "Thanks, but I just need to grab something from my bag," I say, forcing a smile that feels brittle and fake. I find my small leather satchel on a velvet chaise lounge and retreat back into the hallway, closing the door behind me. I find an empty guest room, a small, quiet space with a window overlooking the darkened grounds. I lock the door, a small click that provides a sliver of security, and sink onto the edge of the four-poster bed. I pull out my laptop and power it on, the familiar chime sounding alien in the tense silence. My hands are still shaking, but a cold resolve is starting to crystallize over my fear. I have to do this, for Chloe, for Liam. I connect to the venue's Wi-Fi and log into my email account, my fingers flying across the keyboard. I type Chloe into the search bar. Thousands of results pop up. Party invitations, funny links, heartfelt messages. We were close, more like sisters than sisters-in-law. The grief I've kept neatly packed away for 5 years threatens to overwhelm me, but I shove it back down. I can't afford to fall apart now. I need to be methodical. I start with the weeks leading up to her death. I'm looking for anything out of the ordinary, any hint of distress. But her emails are all normal. She's excited about an upcoming gallery show. She's complaining about a leaky faucet. She's planning a surprise birthday party for Liam. There is no sign of a woman in trouble, no hint of a marriage on the rocks. She wasn't an obstacle. She was the heart of my brother's life. This wasn't a crime of passion or a mercy killing for a failing relationship. It was something else, cold, calculated. Then I remember the insurance policy. About a year after Chloe died, Liam received a payout from a life insurance policy. He'd completely forgotten they had taken out. It wasn't a huge amount, maybe $50,000, but it came at a time when he was drowning in debt after quitting his job to pursue his art full-time. Chloe had insisted on the policy, always the practical one. The money had been a lifesaver for him. At the time, it felt like a final gift from her. Now it feels like a motive, but Julian wouldn't have benefited from that. Unless... My mind flashes back to another memory. Julian, a few months before the hiking trip, complaining about his own finances. He'd made a bad investment, lost a significant amount of money. He'd joked about it, but I remember seeing a flicker of real desperation in his eyes. He and Liam were always close, sharing everything. Did Liam loan him money? Did Julian know about the policy and see it as a way to solve both his and Liam's financial problems in one horrific stroke? Killing Chloe wouldn't just free Liam emotionally, it would free him financially, making him more able to help his best friend. The thought is so vile, so monstrously transactional, that I feel sick to my stomach. It's too thin. It's a theory, but I have no proof. I switch from my email to my cloud photo storage. I go back to the photo from the trailhead. I zoom in as far as the resolution will allow. Julian's arm around Chloe. Liam on her other side, looking at the camera. But Chloe, she's not looking at the camera. She's looking to the side, her expression strained, her smile tight. She's looking at Julian, and it's not a happy look. It's a look of annoyance, discomfort. It's subtle, but it's there. She looks like she wants him to take his arm away. I scroll through other photos from that period, group shots at barbecues, candids from birthday parties, and I start to see a pattern. Whenever Julian is next to Chloe, there's a tension in her posture, a slight leaning away, a forced quality to her smile. She was uncomfortable around him. Why had I never seen it before? Or had I seen it and just dismissed it, not wanting to create friction between my brother and his best friend? A knock on the door makes me jump so violently, I almost drop the laptop. "Ella?" It's Liam's voice. "You in there? Everything okay?" I slam the laptop shut and shove it back in my bag. "Yeah, just fixing my dress," I call out, my voice high-pitched and unnatural. I take a deep breath and unlock the door. He's standing there, his tie loosened, his face a mixture of happiness and concern. "You've been gone for a while. I was getting worried." "I'm fine," I say, trying to smile. "Just feeling a little overwhelmed, I guess. It's a big day." He pulls me into a hug, and for a moment I let myself lean against him, drawing strength from his familiar presence. But it's tainted. He's hugging me, completely unaware that the man he just honored, the man he calls a brother, murdered his wife. How can I tell him? How can I shatter this perfect day, this perfect happiness, with such an ugly, unthinkable truth? "Come on," he says, taking my hand. "Let's go have a dance. Sarah's been asking for you." As we walk back toward the staircase, Julian appears at the other end of the hall. He's on his way up. He sees us, and his friendly smile snaps back into place. He's coming for me. He knows I'm hiding, knows I'm digging. He's not going to let this go. "There they are," he calls out, his voice booming in the hallway. He walks toward us, his steps unhurried, confident. He slings an arm around Liam's shoulders, creating a perfect trio: brother, sister, and best friend. A snake in the garden. "We were missing you, Ella," he says, his eyes locking with mine over Liam's head. "You shouldn't run off alone. It's a big place. You could get lost or have an accident. The last words are spoken softly, for my ears only, a whisper of venom that makes the fine hairs on my arms stand up. The game has changed. He's not just confessing anymore. He's threatening. The threat hangs in the air between us, a shimmering poisonous vapor that only I can see. Liam, oblivious, just laughs. "Don't be so dramatic, Julian. It's not like she's going to fall down the stairs." He squeezes my hand. "Come on, sis, the night's still young." He pulls me along, and I have no choice but to follow, casting one last look back at Julian. He's still standing there, watching us, that predatory smile plastered on his face. He gives me a slow, deliberate wink before turning and heading back downstairs. He's enjoying this, the power, the control, the secret he holds over all of us. He's not just a killer, he's a sadist, savoring my terror. My mind is a whirlwind. He knows I suspect him. He's not going to let me leave this wedding with that knowledge. My half-formed plan of quietly gathering evidence over the next few days and going to the police has evaporated. The timeline has been violently compressed. This is happening tonight. I need to get proof tonight, and I need to get out of here. Back in the reception hall, the party is in full swing. The band is loud, the dance floor is packed, and the air is thick with the smell of wine and expensive perfume. Liam pulls me onto the dance floor, and I let him, moving stiffly, mechanically. He's talking, saying something about his honeymoon in Italy, but I can't focus on the words. My eyes are scanning the room, trying to locate Julian. I spot him at the bar, laughing with one of Sarah's uncles. He looks completely at ease, as if he doesn't have a care in the world, as if he didn't just threaten my life in the upstairs hallway. The juxtaposition is nauseating. He's a monster hiding in plain sight, protected by his own charisma. I have to get him to incriminate himself. I need more than a metaphorical speech and a veiled threat. I need something concrete, something the police can't ignore, something Liam can't deny. A recording. The thought hits me with the force of a physical blow. I need to get him to talk, and I need to record it. But how? He's too smart, too careful to just confess. He'll continue to speak in riddles and metaphors. I have to provoke him. I have to make him lose his composure, his ego. That's his weakness. He's arrogant. He's basking in the glory of being the best man, the hero of the story he's so carefully crafted. He thinks he's untouchable. I need to use that. I excuse myself from the dance with Liam, mumbling something about needing to find Sarah. I need a quiet place, a location for the trap I'm about to set. I slip out into the gardens again, this time with a purpose. The manor's grounds are sprawling. I follow a stone path that winds away from the main building, past manicured flower beds and ornate fountains. In the distance, I see it, a small white gazebo perched at the edge of a still, dark lake. It's perfect. It's isolated, far enough from the music of the reception that a recording would be clear, but still visible enough that I don't feel completely trapped. It's a stage. Now I just need to get the main actor to it. I pull out my phone. My hands are clammy, but my mind is starting to feel sharp, honed by adrenaline. I compose a text message to Julian. My first instinct is to be confrontational, but that's the wrong move. He'll deny everything and put himself on high alert. I need to play his game. I need to appeal to his ego, to his self-appointed role as Liam's protector. I type, "Julian, can we talk? It's about Chloe. I'm at the gazebo by the lake. I think there are some things I've misunderstood, and I want to thank you for how you looked after Liam. It's a gamble, it's obsequious and false, and he might see right through it. But the mention of Chloe, combined with the offer to thank him, might be too tempting for his narcissistic personality to resist. He'll want to hear me admit that he was right. He'll want to gloat. I hit send, my heart pounding. I walk to the gazebo, the gravel crunching under my heels. The structure is beautiful, wrapped in climbing roses, but in the moonlight, it looks skeletal. I step inside and sit on the wooden bench, facing the lake. The water is a sheet of black glass, reflecting the distant lights of the reception hall. It's eerily quiet out here. I can hear the thrum of my own blood in my ears. I take out my phone again. I open the voice memo app and hit the record button. The small red bar at the top of the screen tells me it's active. I place the phone inside my small clutch purse, leaving the top unclasped just enough so the microphone won't be muffled. I set the purse on the bench beside me, trying to make it look casual. The minutes tick by. 1, 2, 5. A cold dread begins to creep in. Maybe he's not coming. Maybe he saw the trap. Or maybe he's doing something worse. Going to Liam, telling him I'm hysterical, that I'm drunk and making wild accusations. He could turn everyone against me before I even have a chance to act. Then I hear the crunch of footsteps on the gravel path. A tall silhouette detaches itself from the darkness, growing larger as it approaches. It's him. My breath catches in my throat. The trap is set. The bait has been taken. Now I just have to survive the encounter. He steps into the gazebo, a glass of amber liquid swirling in his hand. He's no longer smiling. His face, in the pale moonlight, is a mask of cold calculation. "Ella," he says, his voice smooth as silk. A secret meeting by the lake. This feels very dramatic. I hope you're not about to tell me you have feelings for me after all these years. He's mocking me, trying to throw me off balance from the start. I have to stay calm. I have to stick to the script. "Hardly," I say, my voice steadier than I expected. After your speech, I've been thinking a lot about Chloe, about that time. A difficult time for everyone, he says, taking a sip of his drink. He leans against one of the gazebo's pillars, studying me. Especially for Liam. "Yes," I say, looking out at the water. I think I was unfair to you back then." In my head, I was so lost in my own grief, I didn't see how much you were doing, how much you were holding him together. He's silent for a moment, weighing my words. "I did what any true friend would do," he says finally, his voice dripping with false modesty. "I saw what needed to be done, and I did it. Liam is a good man, but he's soft. He doesn't always see what's right in front of him. He needed a little help getting back on the right path." It's the same language from the speech, the same coded confession. My phone is recording every word. My heart is hammering, but I push on. "That trail," I say, my voice barely a whisper. "You chose that trail." He doesn't answer immediately. He just stares at me, his eyes glittering in the dark. "I choose all my paths very carefully, Ella," he says, his voice dropping lower. "I'm an expert at reading the terrain, at spotting unstable ground, at knowing exactly where the path is weakest. It's a gift." The air grows thick with unspoken meaning. The confession is right there, hovering between us, wrapped in his arrogant metaphors. He's proud of it. He's proud of his cleverness, his foresight, his ruthlessness. He thinks he's gotten away with it, and he's daring me to challenge him. I have to push him further. I need him to drop the gi, Metaphors. I need something explicit, something a jury can't misinterpret. I turn to face him, letting a flicker of my true feelings, the anger, the grief, show in my eyes. Unstable ground, I repeat, my voice laced with a bitterness I don't have to feign. Is that what she was to you, Julian? Just a patch of unstable ground? His expression darkens. The pretense of civility is fraying at the edges. He takes a step away from the pillar, moving into the center of the gazebo, closer to me. The space suddenly feels much smaller, more confined. She was an obstacle, he says, his voice losing its silken edge, replaced by something hard and sharp. An obstacle to his greatness. She was encouraging him to be a starving artist, filling his head with nonsense about following his passion. He was throwing his life away, and she was cheering him on. He needed a wife who would support him, not a child who would enable his fantasies. Sarah is that wife, strong, practical, from a good family. I made that possible. The sheer, breathtaking arrogance of it steals my breath. He appointed himself the architect of my brother's life, with the power to decide who was worthy of being in it. He didn't kill Chloe for money, not directly. He killed her because she didn't fit into his grand design for Liam. The insurance money was just a convenient byproduct. You made that possible, I say, my voice trembling with rage. You murdered her. The words are out, stark and ugly in the quiet night. I can't take them back. The game of subtext is over. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't deny it. A slow, chilling smile spreads across his face. It's the most terrifying thing I have ever seen. Be careful, Ella, he says, his voice a low growl. Accidents can happen to anyone, especially when they're standing on unstable ground, asking foolish questions. He takes another step toward me. I can smell the whiskey on his breath. My purse with the phone inside is on the bench between us. I edge away from it slightly, trying to protect it without being obvious. My entire body is screaming at me to run, but I hold my ground. I need more. Why are you telling me this? I ask, my voice shaking. Why confess in a speech? It wasn't a confession, he sneers. It was a tribute, a testament to true friendship. It's not my fault if you're the only one in the room smart enough, or perhaps paranoid enough, to understand the subtext. In a way, I'm impressed. I always knew you were sharper than Liam. He's toying with me, savoring the moment. He's so confident, so utterly sure of his own invincibility, that he's admitting it all. My phone is capturing everything, every damning, arrogant word. I just need to keep him talking a little longer. So you pushed her, I whisper, the horror of it making me feel faint. He lets out a short, sharp laugh. Pushed? It was much more elegant than that. A simple nudge. A helping hand. The ground was already weak. I just showed it where to break. It was almost poetic. One moment she was there, chattering on about some new shade of paint she'd discovered. The next, just silence. And the view was so much better without her in it. He drains the last of his whiskey. The sound of him swallowing seems unnaturally loud in the silence. And Liam, he was heartbroken, of course, for a while. But I was there for him. I helped him pack up her things. I helped him invest the insurance money wisely, money that helped him get back on his feet and eventually meet Sarah. I fixed his life. He should be thanking me. My stomach turns. He's not just a murderer. He's a psychopath, devoid of any empathy or remorse. He truly believes he's the hero of this story. He takes a final, deliberate step toward me, and now he's looming over me. His shadow falls across my body. But now we have a problem, don't we, Ella? You have this misunderstanding, and you have a tendency to be dramatic. I can't have you upsetting Liam on his wedding night. I can't have you ruining the perfect world I've built for him. His hand reaches out and gently, almost tenderly, touches my arm, but the touch is ice cold and his grip is like steel. It's not a comforting gesture, it's a threat made flesh. This ground looks a little unstable right here, by the water, he says, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. All this gravel, it's so easy to lose your footing. It would be a terrible tragedy. 2 losses in one family, both from accidental falls. People would say, your family is cursed. The explicit threat. The confirmation of the first murder and the promise of a second. I have it. I have everything. My objective shifts instantly from interrogation to survival. I have to get out of here. I have to get the phone to the police. I try to pull my arm away, but his grip tightens painfully. Let go of me, Julian, I say, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. We're not done talking, he says, his eyes boring into mine. I think you still have some things you need to get off your chest. Let's clear the air completely, shall we? His other hand moves toward my clutch purse on the bench. He knows, he suspects something. He's going for the phone. In that split second, instinct takes over. I wrench my arm free with a sudden, violent twist and shove him hard in the chest. He's caught off balance, stumbling backward a step. It's not much, but it's the only chance I'm going to get. I snatch the purse off the bench and I run. I don't look back, I just run, my fancy heels sinking into the soft earth, my breath coming in ragged, desperate sobs. The peaceful garden has become a hunting ground, and I am the prey. I scramble out of the gazebo, my feet finding the gravel path. The crunching sound is frantic, loud in the stillness of the night. I don't dare look back, but I can hear him. Behind me, his heavier, more powerful footsteps closing the distance. He's faster than I am, especially in these ridiculous shoes. The lights of the reception hall seem 1,000,000 miles away. A cruel mirage of safety. Panic claws at my throat, cold and sharp. My lungs burn. My only thought is the phone clutched in my hand, the small metal and glass rectangle that holds the truth and my only hope of survival. I can't let him get it. He shouts my name, his voice no longer smooth or charming, but a guttural, enraged roar that cuts through the night. Ella, stop! Don't be a fool! The sound fuels my terror, pushing me to run faster. A stiletto heel catches on an uneven stone, and I stumble, my ankle twisting painfully. I cry out, catching myself on the back of a stone bench before I fall completely. The momentary lapse is all he needs. He's on me in an instant, his hand grabbing my shoulder, spinning me around. I'm slammed back against the hard stone of the bench, the impact knocking the wind out of me. His face is inches from mine, contorted with a fury I've never seen before. The mask is not just gone. It has been burned away, leaving only the monster beneath. Give it to me, he snarls, his eyes fixed on the clutch purse I'm holding in a death grip against my chest. Give me the phone. No, I gasp, trying to squirm away. His other hand snakes out, grabbing the purse, and we're locked in a desperate, silent tug of war. He is so much stronger than me. The strap of the purse digs into my fingers, but I refuse to let go. The purse rips open, its contents spilling onto the dark grass. A lipstick, my keys, a compact mirror, and the phone. It lands softly on the turf, its screen still lit, the red recording bar at the top blinking like a tiny, accusing eye. We both see it at the same time. He lunges for it. I react without thinking, my leg kicking out, my heel connecting solidly with his knee. He grunts in pain and surprise, his grip loosening for a fraction of a second. It's enough. I dive for the phone, my fingers closing around it. Just as his hand closes around my wrist, he twists, and a bolt of agony shoots up my arm. I cry out, my fingers going numb, but I don't let go. He's pulling me up, dragging me away from the path, away from the distant lights, toward the deeper shadows near the lake. "You stupid, stupid girl," he hisses, his breath hot and foul against my cheek. "Did you really think you could outsmart me? I built an entire life for your brother. I'm not going to let you tear it down because you got sentimental." He's dragging me toward the water's edge. The dark, still surface of the lake waits, a silent, gaping mouth. My mind flashes with the image of Chloe, falling, the world rushing up to meet her. He's going to do it again. He's going to drown me and make it look like an accident. A drunken guest, a tragic slip in the dark. He'll tell everyone he tried to save me. He'll be the hero once again. "No!" I scream, the sound tearing from my throat, raw and desperate. I dig my free hand into his face, my nails scratching at his skin. He roars in pain and shoves me away. I fall backward, landing hard on the damp ground, the phone still clutched in my hand. He wipes at his cheek, and when he brings his hand away, there are streaks of blood on his fingertips. The sight seems to push him over the edge. The last vestige of control is gone. He comes at me, no longer trying to be quiet, no longer caring about appearances. This is raw, brutal violence. I scramble backward, crab-walking through the wet grass, trying to get away. But there's nowhere to go. My back hits the thick trunk of an old willow tree at the lake's edge. I'm trapped. He stands over me, his broad shoulders blocking out the moonlight. "You should have just enjoyed the party, Ella," he says, his voice dangerously soft now. "You should have let it go." He reaches down for me. I brace myself for the end, and then a sound cuts through the night. A woman's voice, sharp and clear. "Julian, what the hell are you doing?" We both freeze. Standing on the path, not 20 feet away, is Sarah, my brother's new wife. Her beautiful white dress is a beacon in the darkness. Her face is a pale oval of shock and disbelief. For a heartbeat, there is total silence. Then Julian reacts. He straightens up, forcing a laugh that sounds cracked and insane. "Sarah, my God, you scared me. Ella and I were just... She had a bit too much to drink. She fell. I was just helping her up." It's a desperate, flimsy lie, and we all know it. My dress is torn. There are grass stains on my back, and he has blood on his face. Sarah's eyes flick from his scratched cheek to my terrified face, to the phone I'm still holding as if it's a holy relic. Her expression hardens. She doesn't believe him, not for a second. "Get away from her," she says, her voice low and steady, imbued with a strength I've never heard from her before. "Now." Julian hesitates, his mind clearly racing, trying to find a new lie, a new way to spin this. He looks from Sarah back to me, his eyes full of murderous rage. He could overpower us both. He could try to silence us both. But in that moment of hesitation, another sound joins the night. The distant, unmistakable wail of a siren, growing steadily closer. Sarah looks at Julian, and a small, triumphant smile touches her lips. "I saw you follow her out here," she says, her voice clear and cold. "You looked wrong. I called the police 10 minutes ago." The wail gets louder, closer. Headlights sweep across the grounds as a police car turns into the long driveway of the estate. Julian is frozen, caught between the two of us, his perfect world crumbling around him in a matter of seconds. He looks at me, at the phone in my hand, and he finally understands. He hasn't been outsmarted by a sentimental, dramatic girl. He's been exposed. The game is over. He lost. The arrival of the police shatters the surreal bubble of terror. 2 officers get out of the car, their movements efficient and purposeful. They walk toward us, flashlights cutting sharp beams through the darkness. Julian doesn't run. He just stands there, a statue of rage and disbelief, his face illuminated in the strobing blue and red lights. He looks from me to Sarah and back again, the realization of his utter defeat washing over him. The arrogance, the confidence, it all drains away, leaving behind something hollow and pathetic. "What's going on here?" the first officer asks, his voice calm but authoritative. His eyes take in the scene, Julian with blood on his face, me on the ground, disheveled and shaking, Sarah standing guard in her wedding dress. "He tried to kill me," I say, my voice a ragged whisper. I push myself into a sitting position, my entire body aching. I hold up the phone. "It's all on here. He confessed to everything." The officer looks at Julian, whose face is a blank mask of shock. "Sir, I'm going to need you to place your hands behind your back." Julian doesn't move. He just stares at me, a look of pure, unadulterated hatred in his eyes. It's a look that promises retribution, a look that says this isn't over, but it is. The second officer moves forward and takes Julian's arms, pulling them behind his back with practiced ease. The click of the handcuffs is the loudest sound in the world. As they lead him away, back toward the party he just destroyed, another figure comes running from the house. It's Liam. He stops dead when he sees Julian in handcuffs, his face a canvas of utter confusion. "What's happening?" he asks, his voice bewildered. "What's going on? Julian." Julian looks at my brother, his friend, the man whose life he claimed to have perfected. He opens his mouth to speak, to spin one last lie, but no words come out. What could he possibly say? Liam's gaze shifts to me, then to Sarah. He sees the state I'm in, the terror on my face, and the hard resolve on his new wife's. The confusion on his face slowly begins to curdle into a dawning, sickening horror. I get to my feet, my legs unsteady. Sarah rushes to my side, putting a supportive arm around me. "Ella, are you okay?" I can only nod, the words stuck in my throat. I hand my phone to the first officer. The recording is on there. The file is named Gazebo. He takes it carefully, placing it in an evidence bag. The next hour is a blur. More police arrive. The wedding guests, drawn by the commotion and the lights, begin to trickle out of the reception hall, their faces a mixture of curiosity and concern. The music has stopped. The fairy tale wedding has become a crime scene. I'm wrapped in a blanket and asked to give a preliminary statement, my voice shaking as I recount the events, from the speech to the attack by the lake. Sarah stands by my side the entire time, a silent, unwavering pillar of support. She tells the police how she'd always found Julian's devotion to Liam to be obsessive and unhealthy, how his speech had set off alarm bells for her, too. She'd noticed me leave, then saw Julian follow me a few minutes later. A gut feeling, a prickle of instinct she couldn't ignore, had made her call 911. She saved my life. Liam is taken aside by a detective. I can see them talking near the entrance to the hall. their faces grim under the harsh glare of the police lights. I watch my brother's posture change as the detective speaks. I see his shoulders slump, his head bow. I see the moment the truth, in all its monstrous impossibility, finally breaks through his wall of denial. He looks over at me, his eyes wide with a pain, so profound it feels like a physical blow, even from a distance. The man he loved as a brother, the man who stood beside him on the happiest day of his life, murdered his first wife and tried to murder his sister. The weight of that betrayal is enough to crush a person. The police play the recording. I don't have to hear it again. The words are burned into my memory. But I hear snippets of it from where I'm standing. Julian's smooth, arrogant voice, filled with pride as he describes Chloe's death as an elegant act, his chilling threat to me. There is a long, heavy silence when it finishes. The case against him is airtight. It's his own voice, his own words, his own monstrous ego that has condemned him. They take him away. As the police car pulls down the long driveway, its lights disappearing into the night, a strange quiet settles over the scene. The guests are ushered away, murmuring in shocked whispers. The caterers begin to pack up. The beautiful, magical night is over, leaving behind a wreckage of flowers, champagne flutes, and shattered lives. Liam walks over to me, his face pale and drawn. He looks 10 years older than he did 3 hours ago. He doesn't speak. He just opens his arms, and I fall into them. We stand there for a long time, clinging to each other amidst the ruins of his wedding day. Two survivors of a war we never even knew we were fighting. The betrayal is a chasm between us, but our shared grief is a bridge. Chloe, he whispers into my hair, his voice breaking. And finally, I let myself cry. I cry for Chloe, for the life she lost, for the justice she was denied for so long. I cry for my brother, for the profound, unimaginable pain of his betrayal. And I cry for myself, for the innocence that was stolen tonight, and for the terrifying, simple truth that the worst monsters are the ones who look like friends. The weeks that followed the wedding were a strange, surreal limbo. The world kept spinning, but ours had tilted off its axis. Julian's arrest was a local sensation, a story of high society and dark secrets that the media devoured. The best man's betrayal, one headline called it. They painted Julian as a Machiavellian monster, a jealous friend, a cold-blooded killer hiding behind a mask of charm. They weren't wrong. The investigation into Chloe's death was officially reopened. With my recording as the centerpiece of the new evidence, the original ruling of an accidental fall was quickly overturned. Detectives re-interviewed everyone who had been on the periphery of their lives 5 years ago. A grim picture began to emerge. A former colleague of Julian's came forward to say Julian had bragged about a foolproof plan to solve his and Liam's money problems. A woman Julian had briefly dated after Chloe's death told police that he'd once drunkenly referred to Chloe as baggage that had to be checked. Each new piece of testimony was another nail in his coffin. The most damning evidence, besides his own words, came from a forensic accounting of his finances. The detectives discovered that just 2 weeks after Liam had received the $50,000 life insurance payout, he had loaned Julian $45,000 to cover a massive investment debt that was about to go into collections. Liam, in his grief, had barely registered it, simply writing a check, when his best friend told him he was in trouble. But the timing was undeniable. It was a clear and sickening motive. It wasn't about Liam's happiness at all. It was never about friendship. It was about money. Chloe had been murdered for $45,000. My brother did not take it well. He retreated into himself, into a dark place of guilt and rage. Guilt that he hadn't seen it, that he hadn't protected Chloe. Guilt that he had celebrated and honored her killer for 5 years. He was consumed by the what-ifs. What if he'd listened to Chloe when she'd once said that Julian gave her the creeps? What if he'd questioned the choice of that treacherous hiking trail? He was torturing himself, and I didn't know how to help him. Sarah was his anchor. She was magnificent. She managed the lawyers. She fielded the calls from the press. She held Liam when he woke up, screaming from nightmares. She was quiet and steady and fierce in her protection of him. The wedding that had ended in disaster had paradoxically forged their bond into something unbreakable. They were a team, united against the storm. I had my own demons to fight. I kept replaying the scene at the gazebo in my mind, the feel of his hand on my arm, the coldness in his eyes. For weeks, I couldn't be in a room with the door closed. Every footstep behind me on the street made me jump. The world, which had once felt safe, now seemed full of hidden dangers and smiling monsters. But alongside the fear, there was something else, a quiet, burning sense of vindication. I had known something was wrong. I had listened to that small voice of instinct, and I had fought for the truth. I had done right by Chloe. That knowledge was a small, steady flame in the darkness. The trial was 6 months later. I had to testify. I had to sit in a courtroom, look Julian in the eye, and recount every word he said to me that night. He sat at the defendant's table, looking thin and pale, the charismatic charm completely gone. He watched me with dead, empty eyes. He had pleaded not guilty, his lawyers attempting to argue that the recording was just him boasting, a dark fantasy spun to impress me, and that Chloe's death was, and always had been, a tragic accident. But the jury didn't buy it. When they played the recording in the silent courtroom, I watched the faces of the jurors. I saw their expressions shift from neutrality to shock, and then to revulsion. His own words, dripping with arrogance and pride, convicted him more surely than any other piece of evidence. It was almost poetic. His recorded voice echoed in the courtroom. The view was so much better without her in it. Liam was there every day, sitting in the front row with Sarah and me. It was agony for him, but he insisted on being there, on bearing witness. He needed to see it through to the end. He needed to see justice done for the woman he had loved and lost. The jury was out for less than 2 hours. The verdict was guilty. Guilty of the murder of Chloe Preston. Guilty of the attempted murder of Ella Preston. I watched as they led Julian away in handcuffs for the last time. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at Liam. He just stared straight ahead, his face a blank, emotionless mask. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It was over. That night, Liam, Sarah, and I didn't celebrate. There was no joy in this victory, only a profound and weary relief. We went to the cemetery and stood before Chloe's grave. Liam placed a bouquet of her favorite flowers, white lilies, on the stone. For a long time, none of us spoke. "I'm sorry, Chloe," Liam finally whispered, his voice thick with tears. "I'm so sorry I didn't see it. I'm sorry I let him stand next to me. I'm sorry it took so long." I put my arm around my brother. Sarah took his other hand. We stood there together as the sun went down. Three broken people finding solace in our shared survival. There was no real closure. A verdict couldn't bring Chloe back. It couldn't erase 5 years of lies. It couldn't heal the deep, ragged wound of Julian's betrayal. But it was something. It was an ending. It was a reckoning. It was the truth, finally dragged out into the light. And in the quiet of that evening, surrounded by the ghosts of the past, we felt the first tentative possibility of a future. A future built not on a perfect, curated illusion, but on a hard, painful, and resilient truth. A future Chloe would have wanted for us. One where we were finally, truly free.